Okay, we're here. Every time I hit start webinar, when we go from the practice session to the main event, it says, let's get this started. And I always want it to say, let's get this party started. Like in my
Yeah.
head, I'm singing that song every single time. All right, well, tonight we are here with Dr. Ann Sharkey. She practices in Texas. This webinar is sponsored by my friends at PowerStep. So thank you very much. We're talking about reimagining the modern podiatry practice tonight. So Dr. Sharkey is double board certified and founder of Solely Podiatry and Solely Nails, which is again in Austin. With over a decade of experience, she's built a direct care model that merges evidence-based medicine with wellness and patient experience. A sought-after media expert and educator, Dr. Sharkey is passionate about redefining how podiatry can integrate modern aesthetics, patient education, and retail solutions like PowerStep orthotics to support lifelong foot health. So we are very glad to have you. So I am going to turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so hi, Anne, also introduced, I am Ann Sharkey, founder of Solely Podiatry and Solely Nails in Austin, Texas. And I am so honored to be here tonight on behalf of PowerStep and Foundation Wellness and PodiatryMeetings.com to talk about something that over the course of the last 2 years has completely transformed both my professional life and how my patients experience care. So, a little bit of background that will expand upon what was already shared is I completed residency in 2012. And for my first 5 years in practice, I was a hospital employee for a large hospital organization in Northwest Indiana. In 2017, I made the transition moving to Texas and moving into private practice where I worked part time as an associate. And over the last several years, I really started to feel a pull to do something a little bit differently. So, when I started Solely Podiatry, I wanted to reimagine what this modern podiatry practice could look like. One that's going to blend medical excellence, patient experience, and then a little bit of creativity, right? So, tonight I'm going to share that journey, why I built this practice outside of the traditional model, how I added the physician owned nail salon, how I thought about smart, small, simple innovations like PowerStep orthotics that could improve patient outcomes, boost the bottom line, and build a thriving business. So let's get started. I'm going to start again by sharing this journey. Why did I build this practice outside of the traditional model? How I added this. So, the after 12 years in practice, I was feeling really boxed in. I remember struggling, particularly probably the last 3 to 4 years. And I think a lot of people can sympathize with this in that more and more was being asked of us. What we were seeing come into our paychecks was decreasing. Denials were high. It was hard to keep staff in the office, just overall job satisfaction. And I kept saying that work was getting the best of me and my family was getting the rest of me. And I think at one point I calculated and we were in order to like hit this break even number, it was like we needed to see one patient every 8 to 10 minutes. And we all know if you have someone presenting for anything that's not basic. And even if it is basic, 8 to 10 minutes is nearly impossible. You can barely introduce yourself and come up with a treatment plan, much less like get to know the person in that time frame. And so I was really struggling with like, was I going to stay in medicine? Was this sustainable any longer? Insurance was dictating the care. Visits were rushed. I loved helping my patients. I loved educating my patients. I just wasn't able to practice medicine the way that I wanted to. And it had gotten to the point where I needed to make a change. So I kept seeing the patients. They needed more time. They craved more time. They wanted that education. They wanted to know about prevention. They wanted a deeper understanding of their foot health, but it just wasn't possible. So COVID kind of helped a little bit, right? We had this forced slowdown and you start to think and your brain starts brewing a little bit like, what if this could be done differently? And I am most certainly not the first person in podiatry to do direct care. There's a lot of people in our field who have done this and they've done it beautifully. And so I look up to them as mentors, and they're really fantastic individuals. But I wanted to put my own spin on it. And so what if work could again feel restorative or empowering or centered around wellness instead of illness? And this was another side passion that I had. I'm really interested in lifestyle medicine, and I had dabbled with a whole food plant-based diet and how that changed my own life. And then you start to think like, well, what if I can integrate this into podiatry? So that question was the spark. It really kind of got my brain turning a little bit, and I wanted to create something that didn't just care for people's feet, but it cared for them as a person as a whole in an environment that maybe felt more spa-like, calm, personalized, and healing. So, what would podiatry look like if we could reimagine it through the lens of wellness? And that is where things kind of started here. Um, so Solely Podiatry and Solely Nail Salon, you'll see in the center picture here. I always explain it's two businesses in one location. Sometimes patients get a little bit confused. It's a direct care practice in the podiatry side of things. That means no insurance, transparent, straightforward pricing. I try to be very deliberate on the website with explaining that. Allows me to spend time with each patient, to truly listen, to create individualized treatment plans. And then there's the nail salon. And the nail salon has been an idea that's been brewing for a really long time. I think if I really asked myself, the idea existed prior to 2017, before I even moved to Texas. I just didn't really know what that looked like, right? How does someone start a nail salon? What does that look like? And shortly after moving to Texas with my partner in my previous practice, we had begun discussing it and talking about like opening a nail salon, even had plans drawn up, and then COVID happened. So the nail salon dream really got put onto the back burner because thank goodness we hadn't opened something that had to be shut down for a really long time during shelter in place. And came out of COVID and practices moving forward. And I just couldn't get rid of that idea in my head of there's something here. And when in Texas, I guess, and probably in a lot of warm weather climates, people are wearing open-toed shoes a significant amount of the time. And even if you're somewhere where they're not, they someone might get a nail fungus. Maybe they got it at the salon, maybe they didn't. And they go through this very long and sometimes expensive journey to treat the nail fungus. And now it's gone. And maybe they enjoy getting a pedicure. And so I'd often get the question of whether it was someone who had an ingrown toenail that they got at a salon and they were scared to go back, or they had treated fungus. Where can I go that's safe? And I would try salons around the area. And there was some where I'm like, oh, that's okay, but I didn't find anything that I loved. And so the seed is born, right? Like, how do I create something that addresses this need that if it's continually brought up to you over and over and over again, then obviously people are searching it. So people were frustrated by unsafe salons, right? They've got these complications that happen. They wanted recommendations. I saw this opportunity to bridge the gap. And so this is where Solely Nails was born, and it's advertised as a physician-owned medical nail salon. We use sterile technique with podiatry oversight in a luxury, relaxing experience. So all the things people love about a salon, but with all the safety that I could bring from my experience. And more than that, as it's grown and developed, it's more than a spa. It's an extension of medical care. Patients and clients alike love it and trust it, and they look forward to it. So I always explain to them it's elevated nail care with medical grade standards. We're preserving the beauty and relaxation of a spa in addition to that. So together in one space, Solely Podiatry and Solely Nails offer this continuum of care from clinical treatment to ongoing wellness maintenance. And this really works so synergistically. So I have three rooms. So two are pretty much dedicated salon treatment rooms. And then the third is a podiatry room. It's a little bit larger. It has room for a treadmill for gait analysis, but it can also fluctuate as a salon room if we need that in the future. And throughout the office, there are foot typing posters or anatomical photographs or graphic design. And so while it doesn't feel traditional medical office, it still has all the elements. And my nail technicians that I've had with me have gone through being in the office with me. And so they listen to me talk to patients about pathology and they kind of learn my lingo. And it's really great because let's say someone's in the nail salon and maybe they have a porokeratosis and or they have a callus in a very specific pattern. So after being exposed to the discussions I'll have with patients, my staff know, okay, calluses are from repetitive pressure in an area, and this can be related to foot type. It could be related to fat pad atrophy. It could be related to neuropathic changes. And as they talk, I mean, they are not clinicians. They cannot diagnose someone, and they know this. Either they'll grab me if I happen to be available, or they'll be the segue of like, hey, Dr. Sharkey really sees that a whole lot in the office, and we dispense orthotics for that, or we have creams. And so some of and we'll get into this a little bit more detail later, right? It's like I have the PowerStep forms with the QR codes available. I have curated lists of shoe recommendations available. We have samples of Skin Integra. We have pedestrian projects. So all these potential revenue sources are built right in. And some of these things are available on Amazon, but patients prefer the convenience of grabbing it in your office versus I've tried it both ways because sometimes you're hesitant, like, I don't want to carry so much stock and I don't want to lay out the capital to get this. And you'll give them the QR code or you give them the link. And I've tracked that, and it's not a high conversion factor. Like if they leave your office and don't have it, there's a good chance that they're not going to get it. So these two things really work synergistically. And I'm still figuring out like wording of things or how to advertise things, but it's been a really pretty neat experience over the last several months really last year to watch this develop. So I'll chat a little bit about the timeline. So it's a very kind of long and my brain works in somewhat chaotic ways sometimes, but it started with the nail salon. I didn't really have a plan until more recently to have a direct care podiatry practice. So the nail salon idea had existed for a long time. I just didn't know, like, does this exist within a podiatry practice? Does it exist in a standalone location? And that became more clear last year when the practice that I was in previously closed down, and my partner and I decided to go different directions. So he went on to be a hospital employee, and I then started the direct care practice. But you're kind of thinking, here's the idea. That was like in 2017, and I trialed the concept. So I was very leery of dumping a whole lot of my personal finances into trying this concept because you don't know, like, is it going to work? Is a salon, are people going to grasp? Are they going to pay the increased expense for services in our location? And what I ended up deciding to do at the time was I had approached the previous practice owner and I said, hey, we're not using the exam rooms on evenings or weekends. So can I rent this space back from you and operate a nail salon out of this location? And that was a really great low risk threshold because we already had podiatry chairs. Yes, they were not spa chairs. Yes, they were not super comfortable, but patients didn't really care all that much. We already had the autoclave. We had so many of the things that I needed, and I didn't have to buy them separately. So that is exactly what we did. In March of 2023, we heavy March of 2024. March of 24, we opened the nail salon inside of the podiatry office, advertised it, got a website, advertised with other local podiatry clinics, and beyond my wildest imagination, this grew really quickly. I guess I should back up and say I got pretty fortunate in that I had had a patient I had met sometime in 2018 who was a nail tech, and she was young and she was really ambitious and she was very interested in podiatry. And she owned her own mobile nail salon, but she really wanted to become a medical nail technician. And we would periodically meet and discuss this idea together. And I said, look, I'd love to have you come on with me and kind of help me figure out how to do this well, with the potential to be a salon manager or something in the future. And so that's what I did. Her name is Sarah. She's still with me to this day. She's fabulous. And she had a lot of insight. She's a passionate, passion for education. So we we decide we're going to start this nail salon. We're going to do it in the office. I rent back the space. We start a website, we make business cards. We really just advertised with a few select other podiatry offices and then primarily in our own. We put up signs in every exam room. I started posting about it on Instagram, and it did really pretty well. There was a few things to figure out. So depending on your state, I created a business or an LLC for the salon. My technicians work as 1099 employees, and that's pretty standard in the salon industry. They are compensated, so they take a percentage of the services, and it's anywhere between 40 and 60%, depending on where you look. And it kind of depends, are they bringing their own clients, are they doing their own advertising, etc. And so we started there, and then they do take 100% of their gratuity. So I needed to get a license to be a salon establishment. So in the state of Texas, I applied for a license, and there's a few pieces of paper you had to provide to say like how you were cleaning instruments. The state laws are pretty abysmal across the United States on what is required for sterilization of salon instrumentation. In fact, none of it, most states, I don't actually think maybe only two require autoclave sterilization. So that was easy. We were going to far supersede that. And then legally, just kind of talking like I had to get a separate business insurance policy, PICA, and they don't oversee that. And nail salons, luckily I had Sarah who owned a nail salon. She could kind of walk me through, like, they don't carry malpractice or umbrella insurance. They really just carry a business policy. So kind of figuring out those logistics, and some of it is like, there's no specific plan for that. And you just kind of take it day by day. And sometimes you're like, oh, I need that. Okay, I'm going to go get that license or whatever that thing is. But we kind of figure that out on the fly. Um, and still to this day, and the salon ownership is, I'm figuring it out more and more each day. But there's always a few surprises because the industry overall as a whole is fairly unregulated. So we'll see where things grow, but right now I have 3 nail technicians. Each one works 1 day a week. We have grown month over month repetitively. I think my nail technicians earn $88 an hour on average. So it's been a really positive experience to have them in the office. And then the nail salon draws in clients from up to 2 hours away. And then through that, they start to come into the office. They get to know me. They recognize things. So I've had plenty of nail salon patients become podiatry patients, and podiatry patients become nail salon patients. And one of the things that was so important for me was creating this patient experience. So part of my research was going out and really looking at concierge internal medicine practices or concierge lifestyle medicine practice. What do they do that makes a very relaxing aesthetic that people are seeking, right? And then visiting salons and going to some of the higher scale salons and getting a manicure or getting a pedicure and watching how they did things and what did I like and what did I not like. And that became so important to me. So Austin's a pretty affluent area, where people also are very into lifestyle medicine and natural solutions to things. So this was a really great fit. So I really thought about everything, right? What is trending right now? People don't want toxins. Okay, great. So we chose Dr. Remedy polish for a vegan chemical-free polish experience for regular nail polish. We do offer gel nail polish. Gel nail polish is TPO-free and HEMA-free, and those are some of the components of nail polish gels that harden them. And so there's no odor. I've put air filtration into every single room. If we have candles, they're essential oil only candles. We play relaxing spa music. The windows are all opaqued out. You'll see from here the picture on the right hand side of the screen is one of our salon rooms. So it's just this very like calming colors, not busy. I didn't want a ton of stuff on the walls because sometimes that can just feel overstimulating. And then it's amazing to me. People walk in and they're like, "Oh, it's so clean. It smells so clean. This place smells so new." We've been there now almost over a year, and we still get these comments, and that's very important to me. I just want everyone to come in. I want them automatically to feel at ease. One of the things I spent a lot of time deciding, and I still don't know if I have the right answer, but do I put multiple treatment chairs in a room like a traditional salon? And I've polled clients and patients on this because there's a few that would want to come with friends. They'd want to come with a group, but by far the majority tend to really enjoy the fact that they're on their own. And that's allowed us to capture a larger male audience. A lot of males are apprehensive of going to the salon next to their wives. I don't know why. They don't want people to look at their feet. They're very embarrassed by it. And so whenever they come here, it's like this sigh of relief comes off when they realize they're in the room independently. And so that's been really great. And I don't know if we ever grow or expand someday. Well, maybe we have the option of having a room where, hey, if you want to book a service with a friend, then you could be both in the same room at the time so that you could talk. But for right now, I think we're going to keep that the same. Um, Wellness focused care doesn't mean it's less clinically rigorous. It just means you're blending these environments. Um, it's like that whole experience. You think of even on your own, if you're going to go to a day spa, right? The experience begins maybe at the website. That's your first interaction with them. And so it's such a customer service oriented industry. And even the direct care podiatry and the nail salon is important to me on what that experience is from the beginning to the end. So we offer beverages, we have snacks, we have higher dose infrared mats with pulse electromagnetic field on every chair, and some of those things were I had to seek out something to replace the water massage chairs that patients or clients associate with nail salons. A lot of people enjoy that warm water soak, or they enjoy the massage chair, and the massage chairs were exceedingly expensive. So that was not something that I could right away dive into. I decided to go with the higher dose mats. It was niche, so like no one else had that. I'm going to offer you this heated mat to sit on that's going to give you some relaxation. So those are just a few of the things I chose to elevate the experience without really significantly increasing the cost. And I think it's important to mention as I started both of these things, I took out no loans from a bank, and so it started as very bare bones. I'd make some money and then I'd add a few things, and I'd make some money and I'd add a few things. And the clients have watched that grow and they've really seen that develop. And a lot of them kind of love to come in and see what's changed and what's different. But it's given me a lot of confidence in how to grow it, not feeling like, oh man, I have this huge financial burden weighing on me. And it's the starting of a nail salon is not a super high entry point. The practice is a little bit different story, but the nail salon certainly not. So I did want to talk a lot about the power of smart retail. And one of the smartest business and patient care decisions was to incorporate retail. So whether you're in a direct care practice or you're in a traditional insured care practice, these are really fantastic sources of revenue, right? And there's a lot of ways to look for it. And I didn't want it to feel overwhelming for patients or for me. Because if you have, well, I offer 17 different types of antifungal, or you can't be so confident in what you're explaining. So I kind of put things into columns of like, okay, what am I treating and how I'm going to do this? So if I were to say dry skin, diabetic foot care, cracked heel calluses, right? Whether they're a salon client or an office client. For that, I maybe was using Modern Podiatrists. Love them. Patients love it. It's been a great product line. They have a great wholesale program. They have a virtual dispense program. Formula 7 and the Tetra Corporation has been a great alternative to Jublia if cost is an issue. Skin Integra is another one. Pedestrian Project, EBM Medical, PowerStep, orthotics, obviously. And I think what I really appreciate of all of these companies that I mentioned, not all of them on the market, but all of them, they do not require you to carry the stock. And like when I said, I started this practice with taking out no loans. I did not have a massive source of capital to draw on to buy every size of 5 different types of power steps to have sitting in a supply closet, maybe just collecting dust for a long period of time. The cash flow in the startup of this was so important. So maybe someday, if turnover is really high and I figure out what my favorite product is, I'm not I'll never carry this in my office person. But for right now, the convenience of I don't need a huge storage closet. I'm not constantly having to take inventory, and the ease of me having this sheet in every exam room for me to quickly fill out or just give them the code or the QR code, easy. And as soon as that QR code is scanned, the cookies are in their phone, whether they order it that minute or 2 days later, it's going to track back to your link. And so you'll gain some income from that. Your patient is getting a quality product. They probably are they're going to experience some relief, right? And so there's a large variety of products, and I really, really love that. So this creates a revenue source. It creates a solution to someone's problem. And I have a recommendation. This is not on my slides, but I have read, there's a book by Donald Miller called The Story Brand. And there's 1.0 and 2.0, and 2.0 just came out. And the Story Brand, it talks about how often as physicians, the book doesn't talk about this, but the patient needs to be the hero of their own story. We are not their heroes. We are their guides. And often as physicians, we are looked at as the heroes, right? We're the solver of the problems. But what you need to do is you need to be the guide to your clients or your patients on how they solve specific problems. So do you have plantar fasciitis? Okay, here's your roadmap on getting this better. And here's plan A and here's plan B, and here's where we're going to go if plan A doesn't work. And here are the products that I know, love, trust, and recommend. Boom, here you go. Nail fungus, right? Like, what about a laser? What about this topical? What about EBM supplement? All of these things you can create guides. So for each condition, I created what is my guide that I'm providing to my patient. And it made it so easy in that I don't feel like a salesperson. I'm not trying to sell them anything. I'm just saying, this is your problem that you sought my advice for. As your guide, I'm giving you steps to solve the problem. And here it is. So I think if you kind of read that book, it's a very fast read. It's really fascinating. It talks about it relates it to like movies and how movie scripts and really successful movies follow that same organizational structure, and it fits into all bits of marketing. So I think I can't advocate for that enough. And let's circle back and say Power Steps, you're helping the patient take ownership of their problem, and it's generating a steady ancillary income for you. So this is a win-win for both. They're going to purchase it from a store anyways, whether they are going to make Jeff Bezos richer or they're going to put a little bit of money in your pocket. So you might as well take that advantage and get some benefit from that. When you create something that looks, feels, and functions differently, people are going to notice. And I've started to figure out other ways to market this. I have patients come in who have just had a total knee replacement. And I did not know this, but a lot of orthopedic surgeons will not allow their patients to have a pedicure for a certain period of time afterwards. Well, they have a lot of difficulty reaching their toenails. So I've started now to advertise to orthopedic surgeons as, hey, here's this really great space where you can safely refer your clients to get a pedicure in their post-op period, and they feel confident in where they're sending their patients, and I get to provide a service to people who are looking for that looking for that benefit. So our patient base has grown really rapidly. We've started to attract clients from up to 2 hours away, and some of that has been through the nail salon side of things and advertising. Carrie Flux has been a really great addition to the practice. The laser for nail fungus treatment. I've partnered or gotten to be a really great referral source for some of the higher end salons locally that maybe their nail technicians notice a problem and they know that they can call me and I will get them in right away. So I've had everybody from someone who showed up to the nail salon who ran into a curb and their nail was like hanging on by a thread, and the nail tech's like, I can't do a nail avulsion, to individuals who have gotten fungus or paronychia, and we've helped walk them through that. So there's so many ways that this can develop and kind of form a relationship. And even as podiatry, right, we know some of these other specialties don't often refer to us, but you might build your name and your reputation by one thing. Maybe it's the nail salon, and then their patients and clients go and tell them about everything else there. And it's been a really great referral relationship for me. Um, and the diversification of whether it's nail stuff or whether it's orthotic stuff has really allowed me not to depend on one single source of income. So I have this diverse way to generate money on here. And it didn't start big. It started really small. I rented one room back on a weekend with one nail tech, and we tried something and it turned out that that something worked. And then we added another type of pedicure service, and then we added manicure services, and we'll see where things go from there. But it started small and kind of snowballed from there. Um, I am really grateful for mentors. And, if you would have asked me 10 years ago, I would have never been happy or satisfied with starting this small and growing it very slowly. I would have wanted everything all at once immediately. Then I would have wanted to go to the bank and sign a massive loan and build out this space like exactly what I thought I wanted. And actually, I have to give major props to my husband for that, because he was like, "No, we cannot do that. That's not a great idea. Let's start it small." And I was kind of angry for a little while, to be honest. I just wanted everything right away, the way I wanted it. But by starting small, I was able to make pivots and changes as I went. Whereas if I would have dumped all the money in, it probably would have grown in a different direction. So if you start small, get your concept, test it, and then once you see the demand or you see where a lot of your referrals are coming, you can take some time to grow authentically in that direction. Um, a, a- Try everything you recommend before you recommend it. You'll even just opening the nail salon, I get emails all the time like, "Oh, I want to send you this product," or "Will you use this product?" And I look at the website, I talk to the person, I probably look at their social channels, and it really has to align with my values. Something might sound really great financially, and maybe they would pay you a lot of money, but if you don't feel comfortable or you don't believe in it, people will see right through you. And so be really secured in your why and why you're doing this and what benefit will bring to your patients. And that comes out in your discussions with people. Um, there's success measure beyond dollars. I am not making millions and millions of dollars doing this, maybe someday. But my happiness has skyrocketed multiple fold from where I was 18 months ago, working with insurance and trying to figure things out. And so sometimes it's the journey of trying something completely different, finding different ways to generate an income. And when you start to see the patients respond to that and you start to see the good that you're giving back, it can bring a whole nother level of satisfaction that a padded bank account, I'm sure, is nice, but doesn't always equate to that, right? So satisfaction and professional fulfillments are true indicators of sustainable success, in my opinion. And this is the future. We're living through a shift. We can all feel this. We're living through a shift in healthcare, and patients are really looking for that transparency. They want that connection back that was once there and is lost. And there's more and more people who are looking for prevention and not assembly line medicine, or I mean, goodness, the system can be so ambiguous. People are shuttled from one specialty to the next with no specific answer. And as podiatrists, we're uniquely positioned. Yes, we are foot specialists, but we are foot specialists who know about vascular disease and we know about endocrinology and we know about dermatology and we know about sports medicine. And so use that to your advantage. I'm in the process right now of getting certified, board certified in lifestyle medicine, and I cannot be a lifestyle medicine physician. It's just not possible with our statute of limitations. But we see patients with gout, and gout is now so often being related to insulin resistance and elevated, maybe someone has elevated liver enzymes and fatty liver disease and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And how does this play into the use of Lamisil and why we can't use Lamisil? And this is an avenue for you to engage your patient in a discussion and really change the course of their life. And it's far beyond just nail fungus, right? Like there's a lot of possibility for good in there. And I see that in all of us that you can really make a change there. So, the future of podiatry and medicine in general really belongs to those who innovate. You're going to, whether you embrace direct care or you integrate wellness into your practice, or you're thinking creatively about how to better serve your patients, we have this opportunity to not just treat feet, but to elevate the entire experience of patient care. Um, and so this is my last slide. And as we wrap up, I just want to encourage you, innovation doesn't always mean you have to reinvent the wheel. But if you listen to your patient and you hear the same thing over and over again, trust your instincts, your opportunities are really right in front of you. Maybe you're incorporating spa services. Maybe you're going to be new to talking about PowerStep orthotics or bringing modern podiatrists on board, or simply rethinking how your office feels and what that environment is. You can move towards a more fulfilling and sustainable model. And it can bring you a lot of joy and fulfillment. So I want to say thank you to the Foundation Wellness team for inviting me and allowing me to spend this time presenting today. I'd love to hear your questions or even any ideas that any of you have or what you've instituted in your own practice, because I think all of us grow together, right? We rise all together.
I have to say, I love this presentation. Like, I was sitting here thinking, what makes this so different? Like, not the content you're presenting, but the way you're presenting it just felt so relatable and just interesting. And when you mentioned story brand, I was like, oh, that's the difference. Like, if
Oh,
that's something she's into, it comes
best book
across.
ever. Everyone has to read that book. It's so good.
Yeah, it is. It's so good. So, okay, so let's get into some of these questions. And Mindy, I do want you to pop back on here because there is a question in here for you. But before we get to it, do you perform surgeries and where? And are you on staff at a hospital?
Yes. So I'm still figuring out the surgical part of things. Initially, when I left, I thought I'm done with surgery. I'm ready to walk away with it. It took me a long time to make peace with that decision. And about like 4 months in, I was like, no, I'm not done. I like surgery. And I had patients walk in the door who wanted surgery. So I have privileges at a surgery center. I do still have privileges at the hospital. I'd ideally like to drop those. I don't go there, or maybe I'll keep them on a consulting level so that patients could have somewhere to go. And I do have a relationship with the podiatrist on staff there. But what I've learned so far, and I'm really kind of working on that this week, is there are two ways people can do this. If they, for instance, I have one patient right now, I'm working her up for surgery. She needs a bunion surgery and she has traditional insurance and it is not a high deductible. So she is going to use her insurance for the facility and the anesthesia at the surgery center. And my surgery center has been really fantastic in working with me on this. I generally have to provide them codes and maybe help with some authorization on their end if they need it, but that's very little involvement. And then the patient knows from my perspective, they are going to pay me for my services. And I'm working with her to decide. I have two options. They can pay for every postoperative visit afterwards, just as a follow-up visit would be in my office. Or we can bundle everything together in terms of my surgeon's fees, the boot, a laser treatment package, et cetera. So it's a little bit nebulous out there in the insurance world. I think some are easier than others. My fear, and I tell every patient this, is that insurance is wild right now. And because I am not in network with those insurances, I do not know I get written confirmation of authorization. Like, could one of them potentially say, well, we're not going to cover your surgery, even at this in-network surgery center, because you chose a surgeon that's not in-network for you? I don't know. But as of right now, it's working that way.
You mentioned nail techs are 1099s and take 40 to 60% of revenue, but then you also mentioned paying them $8 an hour, and I think
Oh,
that's what we heard
880,
you
88.
say.
So they average $88 an
88.
hour. So basically, at the end of the day, by the time I write their check, if I divide how many hours they worked by the total I'm paying them, they're averaging $88 an hour.
Okay, gotcha. So you're not paying them that. That's a bet.
No, no, no,
That's
no, no.
what
Yeah,
they're.
sorry, that probably didn't come over the waves well.
Gotcha. Okay. Mindy, this is probably for you and Dr. Sharkey. So earlier, Dr. Sharkey mentioned a PowerStep paper that has QR codes. So the question is this something PowerStep and Dr. Sharkey made together, or is it something I can talk to, is it something she can talk to a rep about? She likes how you could have all the options and you can circle which one would work best for different foot types and then easily have them access it.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk about that. That's what we call our online referral program, and it's very unique. I don't know that there's any other brands that does this, but it's an opportunity for you to refer out PowerStep to your patients without having to carry product in your practice. So some doctors use it in conjunction with dispensing, and they use it for other items that so they might necessarily maybe they stock the Protect full length, which is our most popular insole, but they have a patient that needs a Met pad or a wide foot, or they want to put them in a slipper or a sandal with the Power Step support. So they would use it for that purpose as well. So we get both. We get some that don't dispense at all, and we get some that use it in conjunction with it. And in the program, once you enroll, there's no enrollment fee. There's no minimums. It's there for your using if you want to use it and when you want to use it. We provide you with a unique referral ID code that you share with your patients. And we provide it on a sheet with your recommended
Mhm.
products. So it comes
Yeah,
kind of
it's
as a
just
boilerplate. Then you can customize if just, I actually run the program. So when you email, you would be emailing me. So we can customize the sheet to fit to better serve the types of products that you want to be referring to. You share it with your patient. Like she said, we added a QR code to it, so it's even easier now for the patients to scan and land on where they need to be on powerstep.com. So they purchase the product through there. The patient gets a discount, I think a 10% discount, and
10%.
the doctor gets 15% back on each sale. And some doctors sign up and say, I don't even want the referral fee. I just want my patients to be able to have the right
Mhm.
product and have a discount for it as well. So it's totally up to you. I can provide and the link for more our webpage that has more information and sign up on that too. Where would you like me to drop
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, you can just put that into the chat. Is that the GROW program?
Yeah.
Okay. So Dr.
Mindy,
Sharkey,
do you
you've used
know, are
that.
these I think it's important. I always like to tell patients, like, are these same or different as what someone would find if they were looking for a Power Step on Amazon?
They are, we have two different product lines. So we have the medical product line, the medical grade, and even if you go to
Okay.
powerstep.com, you would not be able to purchase it on there. You might
Okay.
be able to view them, but not purchase on them. So
Okay.
this way it kind of unlocks those
Okay.
and so that you can purchase
So
them
that's
on
a nice
there.
thing to say too, is this is a medical grade product that you can't find anywhere else, the quality of this anywhere else.
Right. And then
Okay.
our on Amazon, you can find our retail one. And if you
Right.
do find when we do work very hard, we have a whole e-com department that works on trying to track down if there are people that are selling ProTech online and trying to figure out, we're cutting off distributors. We're trying to figure out where those are
Okay.
coming from so we can control that. But let me
Props to you
drop
guys.
that into
That's a
the,
hard job.
Yeah.
okay.
Um, okay,
Yes,
so Mindy's
the
gonna
new
put
ones pop
that
up all the
link.
time.
Yeah, Mindy's gonna put that link in the chat. So if you're interested in that, you can click that link to learn more. So did you get a separate tax ID for the Salon LLC?
Yes.
All right. Which laser do you use for fungal nails and what's been the success rate?
I use the Remy, and I would say 75% of the time it's pretty successful. I do have my own protocol or way of doing it. I tried initially, I think their protocol is like one laser every 3, maybe 4 weeks for 4 cycles. And I part of my education with patients is your nail might take 12 to 18 months to grow. So as I was telling them this, my brain really could not wrap around why I was going to laser them. And in 4 months, I was like, oh, okay, well, we're done lasering. And I would see stall or regression with that. So what I've done is I do the one laser every 3 to 4 weeks. I'm also debriding the nail thickness, usually every other visit, because the thinner the nail is, the better it's going to work. If you have an exceptionally thick nail, the traditional recommendation for big toenails is 2 minutes, and I will go anywhere from 3 to 4 minutes on there until the patient feels that heat, because sometimes the nail is so thick that that 2 minutes is not getting through there. So it's an encompassing program. I have them on EBL1 from EBM for a supplement. I have them on topical antifungal, usually Mod Pod Renewal, Formula 7, or Jublia, depending on what they want to do with insurance. And we talk about all those options. And then the laser treatment. So, but I do think, as long as they have good blood flow and they have growth of the nail plate and they're compliant with the other things that we're doing, about 75% of the time I see good results with the Remy.
There's a question about someone's interested in lifestyle medicine. Is there a board certification in this? Are there classes available? How did you get your
Yeah, so
footing?
American College of Lifestyle Medicine, it's a certification. There we cannot do the same certification as MDs and DOs can do because they have to do some sort of a case study, but there's a test once a year and you have to do 30 hours of education. So it turns out they have a board review course that is 30 hours, and you have to attend a virtual or in-person CME event for lifestyle medicine, and then take the exam. So it's fairly easy to accomplish within a year, and they provide you. But if you go to American College of Lifestyle Medicine, it's all very well laid out in there.
Awesome. So I don't know if we already answered this, but if you have privileges at a hospital, can you admit if needed?
Yeah, I still could if I needed to.
Can you give us an example of typical charges for services at your spa?
Sure. So we I kind of did 3 levels of pedicures. Basic pedicure would be someone who comes in and they don't have really any calluses. We're not doing cuticle work. They really just need their nails trimmed. Maybe they have a little bit of dry skin that we're going to moisturize. So that's $75. And it's usually about a 30-minute service. And we have what's called an essentials pedicure, which means they don't have thick and dystrophic nails. We're not doing a lot of work to thin the nails out. So nail trimming, cuticle care, mild callus work, an exfoliation treatment, steam towel, moisturizer, polish. That's $100 and it's in about an hour. And then we have a $150 restorative pedicure. That's an hour and a half. And that's for anyone with heavier heel callousing or like thicker nails that needs debridement. And clients are really pretty good about honestly choosing the proper service. And my techs also know if someone books an essential pedicure and they do not have, if they have the time, they will tell them, I need to bump this up. Or I'm sorry, you did not book the appropriate service. We cannot get this all done today. You will have to come back and book another appointment. But those are the 3 levels that we offer.
How did you vet the nail techs prior to hiring, and how much oversight
Hard.
do the nail techs require?
Um, well, right now I'm in the office with them all the time. So Sarah had been a nail tech for 14 years and had done a lot of education. So she spent a lot of time shadowing with me in the very beginning when we opened it. I was with her for every single service. They do not learn. It's actually crazy. So most nail techs go to cosmetology school and they decide to do nails. When I ask them how much time do you spend learning a pedicure, they're like, we don't really spend a lot of time. We often show up to our first job and they're like, go do a pedicure. So her and I spent a lot of time learning things together about dry pedicures, and it's very different than cutting cuticles. Then the second nail technician actually was an employee of Sarah's other. So she owns a salon like an hour away. She comes to me one day a week. And then I asked her, do you have someone else who you would really recommend to come work here? So that was the second person. And the third person I found through, there's a few medical nail technician, like online certifications. Some of them are good, some of them are not so good. but you can reach out to those instructors and say, hey, I'm in this area and I'm looking for, do you know anyone looking for work? And a lot of times they'll have had someone just graduate from their program. So that can be a really good resource. I will not lie, finding employees is the hardest thing because the salon industry is kind of catty. They can be unpredictable and unreliable, but I pay them very well. They work in a clean environment. They're in one singular room on their own. And luckily, I've been very blessed to have the same three people for the last year. But as I want to grow and I'm trying to find more, this is hard.
What kind of charting do you have to do?
For the nail salon, nothing. It's just a nail salon. So we run a salon app called Gloss Genius, which is what a hair salon or a nail salon would use to schedule. So there's no charting in that because they're not seeing us. If they have a medical problem or talk to them about something medical, they know, okay, well, you can book an appointment with your podiatrist if you have one, or you can book an appointment here. And then that point, they transition to becoming a podiatry practice where I have a medical record. I use Simple Practice and I document just the way that we document like a soap note traditionally.
Do nail techs need to have specific certification to be working in a podiatry practice?
No, they just need to be licensed. They need to follow their state regulations. So your state will come, Texas comes with a book about a salon and what needs. So they need to have a displayed license is on the wall with their picture. They renew their license every 2 years. I think they have to take 1 or 2 CE hours every time they renew their license. So I have documentation of all those, but nail techs don't need anything. They're not really working in my office. They're working in my salon. So,
Awesome. I think that we answered all the questions,
okay.
and I was, like I said, very impressed. I thought that this was really, really good. Our attendees were very engaged. We had a lot of good questions. So, do you have an email address that we can put into the chat in case anybody wants to follow up with more emails?
Yes. Yes. Let me type that in there for
Okay.
everybody.
And just as a reminder, everybody, Mindy did drop that link for the PowerStep referral program into the chat, so you can grab it from there. And this was awesome. I'm so glad that thank you to PowerStep for
Yeah.
sponsoring this. And I know there's a lot of podiatrist in Austin. So I'm really excited to have you doing this. I actually talked with somebody over the weekend at a conference who practices in Michigan, and he is interested in opening a spa or a salon in his practice. And I
Hmm.
told him to come to this. So,
Okay. Cool.
I think, like you said, a lot of practices are starting this. So it'll be interesting to see what the future holds for the industry for sure.
Yeah. I think it's exciting. It's an exciting time.
Yeah, it's very exciting. And thank you, Dr. Sharkey. I really appreciate your time. Thanks again to PowerStep for sponsoring, and we will see you all next time.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Okay. Good night, everybody.